as you know, why you are here. It's the power of symbols, sigils, which is the title that you couldn't read, and sacred geometry. So it's a little bit of a combination of all of these things, guys. Now, first off, does anybody know the difference between a sigil and sacred geometry? No? First of all, do you know what sacred geometry is? A little bit? Right. So what we're going to do is just start off by defining what's the difference between sacred geometry and sigils. Okay. Hi, guys. Take a seat. There's some seats here. There's one there. There's one there. And so that we can know the difference between the two, but actually it's all very similar. So, symbols and sacred geometry, guys, have been used since the beginning of time because they contain a body of gnosis that supersedes our conscious thoughts. So, that's why it's so fast. It's very fast to use a symbol, to use a sigil, or to use sacred geometry. Can I please have your phones on silent, please? Thanks. So with sacred geometry, these are patterns that are already innate in the universe, in the cosmos, in our bodies, even ourselves. If you look at ourselves under a microscope, you will see that they're made up of sacred geometric shapes, okay? But also out in the cosmos, has anybody ever seen, for example, Saturn and the hexagram of energy that's on Saturn? Has anybody ever seen that? So it's everywhere, actually. Yeah, it's in the planets, it's in the stars, it's in the cosmos, they're in our bodies, they're in the oceans. Sacred geometry is actually everywhere. Yeah, and we've also got what's known as the golden mean spiral, which has a certain ratio, and that's also everywhere, like in shells, the wave, all of these kind of things. Our galaxy, for example, has this wave in it. Yeah. So sacred geometry is already there. So what we can do is we can take sacred geometry, and because every single shape has a particular signature or a particular vibration or a particular frequency, we can actually use that particular shape for a particular purpose. So for example, we can use a particular sacred geometry that is good for, removing something from our space, like pain or fear. And then we can use another one to regenerate something in our space. Like we've done classes with sacred geometry where people have come from the chiropractor and they're wearing corsets. And they do the 3 days of SA, sacred geometry. And this particular student, she went back to her chiropractor after, and he says to her, what did you do? You're good. You can take the corset off. So she took off the corset because we did the sacred geometrical work where we regenerated the part of the spine which was actually gone down. Okay. We had another case where one of our ladies was on her way to day 3 of sacred geometry class, and she turned up with food poisoning because she'd eaten some seafood the day before, spewing her guts out, and she didn't want to miss the class, so she came in. We applied some sacred geometry to remove the issue that was a problem, and then did some, upgrading work, and she was good. By the end of the day, she was good. The food poisoning was gone. Another case of sacred geometry was my mum got not a fishbone, that happened to me. She got a lemon pip, got stuck in her windpipe. So she'd chewed it, and it had opened up like this, and it sat in the windpipe. So we took her to the ER. There was a huge queue. I said, look, whilst we're waiting, why don't you let me do a little bit of work on you? And her reaction was, it was like that. It's coming. Like, whatever, So I thought, all right, we'll give it a lash. We'll try some sacred geometry on it. We did it. Within a few seconds of doing the process, she got called in to the doctors, and she went to tell the doctor what was wrong, and out it popped in her hand after she'd been trying for hours and hours and hours to remove it. It wouldn't come out. So these are the miracle factors that you can achieve with sacred geometry. Now, sacred geometry are ready-made templates for you to use. And in a bit, when I've stopped talking, I've got a ready-made template for you to use. We're going to use it all together and see how it works on us. So we're going to get into practice with it, okay? The next thing, of course, is the sigils. So what's the difference? Now, sigils, those are something that you can make yourselves, right? So in a sigil class, you will come along and I've got all the different templates of all the different little squiggles and patterns and this and that and the other, and you intuitively construct a sigil for the exact reason that you would like to change something, okay? So sigilization is what we call it, is when we create a symbol of our own intent that bypasses the subconscious mind to bring our intent to the manifest world. So we cook it up there and then we pull it down and we bring it into the manifest world. But you create it. That's the difference. Okay? So have you got the difference between a sigil and sacred geometry? Kinda? Ne? Καταλάβετε κάπως την διαφορά? Ορίστε. Δεν έχει ελληνικό όνομα για sigil, αλλά μπορούμε να το θεωρήσουμε σαν σύμβολο. So it is a symbol, in fact. Yeah? And we can place all of these different symbols together when we sigilize, and they create an effect. With sigils, we can use sound, so there's metrical sigils, there's alphabetical sigils, so you use letters. There's numerical sigils, so you can use numbers, yeah? And there's also pictorial sigils, where you could use images. And then we have what's known as a hypersigil, which is when we get the numbers and the alphabet and the words and the sounds, we put it all together. We cook something up. And that is what we learn to do in our Sigil Mastery class, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a little go at that as well. So today, guys, we're going to look at sacred geometry, how to apply that, and how to apply a sigil as well. Are we good with that? Yes? No? Yeah? Yeah. Cool. Okay. All right, guys, thanks very much.